The great thing about seeing what you don't want is that it urges you into the direction of what you do want. You know, it's really funny because a lot of people write me or email me as to why do I always put up all these, I don't want to say upsetting, but what might be considered like bad news or something to that effect. And what I feel is very important is that for those of us who are on this path of awakening, for those of us who are waking up to reality, to the truth, and are going about it strictly metaphysically or spiritually, there seems to be a disconnect of what's actually going on in the world. A lot of people just want to focus on the positive. They feel that if they allow negative news into their lives or into their mind state, that they're not being spiritual, or that because they are focusing, as all this law of attraction and the secret propaganda has been putting out there, that when you focus on is what you create, but there's a certain line that they're crossing with that statement. It's to me, and this is for me and for probably millions of us out there that are on this path to enlightenment and toward personal and spiritual sovereignty, we find that it's basically you're getting half of the whole picture. The reality of it is that it is our intention as spiritual beings, as I was taught by my teacher, that we want to have our foot on all planes of existence, that we want to have not keep ourselves in an island to ourselves in the sense of just being materialistic, or just being in the material world, or just being in the emotional world, or just being in the spiritual world. We want to transcend the boundaries of all three. And in order to transcend the boundaries of all three of these worlds, it's very important that we become a master of each of those domains. A good example is what's going on with the world today as far as the corruption, the government, things like that, and also as well as of what's going on in your own personal life. A lot of people are in denial of some of the negative things that are going on in their life that they've created for themselves, or that they feel that the more that they harp on something, the more they're going to get stuck there. Now, that's not to say that we need to harp on the negativity in the world, or that we need to be frightened by it, or that we need to get violent against it. I'm completely against violence, and I think that anybody that knows me knows that we teach peaceful resistance in reference to anything political or of that nature. But it really is important that people, all people, become educated as to the atrocities that are happening on our planet, as to the corruption of nature, or the how shall we say, the exploitation of nature, and not only the exploitation of nature, but the exploitation of people, and how we're being poisoned by our water systems, how we're being poisoned in our foods, how this has become very natural and very normal to be accepted within our paradigm as a Western culture. But I think it's time that, and it is time, we know, that we start looking at ourselves as one global culture. And, what's right for one is right for the other, and what's not right for one is not right for the other. We are a human family. And, when you hear the likes of, let's say, the Alex Joneses of the world, or the Glenn Becks, or whatnot, while I know that a lot of the way that they put their information out there can be a bit alarmist, or can be very negative and really incite violence in certain cases, but that's up to the individual. I personally believe, and actually I have a new paradigm as far as how I look at television. I have been on a television fast for the last several years, and now I guess that I've cleared myself of the escapist addiction, because that's what it really is escapist addiction. That I can look on it with fresh eyes and look on it how shall I say, objectively. When I watch the newscast or if I watch a television show, I kind of interpret it and I kind of go into a place where I'm analyzing it and what it means. What does it mean? What does that show mean? And how does that reflect the culture, maybe anthropologically speaking? When it comes to any kind of media, the reality of it is that it's all bought and paid for, and that's what they want. They want ratings. They want to make money. And if those of us who are moving beyond the paradigm of capitalistic greed and are moving into the sharing, caring mentality, it's okay for us to study it, and it's okay for us to even have moments of escapism. The problem comes when it becomes an addiction. So, going back to my original statement of when we see things that we don't like, or when we see things that make us uncomfortable or even fearful, it does guide us into the direction of knowing what we do want. There are many people out there that are just constantly complaining about what they do want, but they don't take action to change it. And I think that the best thing that can happen to all of us is to educate ourselves as to, let us say, this global governance stuff that's going around, the way the economy is collapsing. But we need to understand it. We can't just take the talking points or the bullet points that the government or the news or the propaganda machine is feeding you and think that that's it. We got to look beyond that. We need to look and transcend the fear, transcend the alarmist mentality, and really start digging and researching as to why and what and who and what is the motivation and what's really going on. A lot of people are in denial that chemtrails exist. We know for a fact that it does. A lot of people are in denial that fluoride is a poison, and they keep drinking the water and keep putting it in their toothpaste, and they bought into the lie. And it's important that you research this stuff. It's important that you look into it. Where does it come from, and why, and who benefits from it? So by finding out all this stuff, by learning and educating ourselves as to what we don't want. We don't want Codex Alimentarius. We don't want a global government. We want personal sovereignty. And I think that's where it leads us into finding avenues that are positive, beneficial, and also will not compromise anybody else's beliefs and or lifestyle. There's a lot of people that are quite happy being miserable, and that is their choice. And it is your choice to decide not to be miserable. It is your choice not to play a part of the blame game or the or feeding into the corruption. I will not shop at certain places because I know the money goes to creating a horrible life for people in third world countries because of their distributors. There's a lot of things that we can look into to make this world a better place. And it comes from learning what you don't want first. If you don't want and it also goes on a personal level. If you don't want to be in an ugly relationship, if you don't want to be around certain friends that you find bring you down or drain you of your energy or whatnot, that is your choice to know you don't want that and to take action on it. But it also goes on a global scale. We need to know that we're more than just the individual. We cannot be narcissistic anymore as a society. We cannot be self-centered. It's not about your hair appointment or getting your massage or going out to lunch. And there's more to life than that. There's much more to life than that. And until we start looking to globalize and looking and understanding that all of these things that are probably being thrown in your plate or being thrown in your direction, whether they be news stories or videos or a friend mentioning something that you find appalling or atrocious or something that a governor did or a mayor did or the president did or your dictator did or whatever, look into it, see why, what is the motivation, and try to figure out the solutions, because the reality of it is we are going down a really nasty spiral into the collapse of all civilization. We're really headed in a really nasty direction right now. And in order for us as human beings to kind of start being the driver of our realities and our cities, our communities and whatnot, we are the ones that need to start coming up with the solutions. Enough of the blaming, enough of the complaining, and enough of turning our face to what makes us feel uncomfortable, because if you're going to sit there and tell me the most important thing I can do is look to the highest self, the highest God, and this and that, and meditate only on happiness and peace and inner peace and whatnot, that's great if you're a monk, and that's great if you're a yogi living at the top of a mountain in a monastery, but 90% or 99% of the world does not live like that. And you have to live in society. You have to live in a system. You have to live in a community. And you've done it by choice. So if this is really what we're working with here, you have to figure out how to make the best of it. And by turning away and ignoring the realities of the evil in the world, and not acknowledging it or saying that, oh, it's just a part of the whole, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. Educate yourself, find out what's going on, learn about the things that make you feel uncomfortable, and move through them. Move through them. I admit there's been times where I've been an alarmist. I admit there are many people out there that are alarmists in the way that they present, such touchy things as, chemtrails or HARP or, anything that they would call conspiratorial, which is another whole, another video of how that's basically propaganda to keep you from asking questions. And you've bought it. Most of you have bought into the whole idea that, oh, conspiracy theories are for crazy people. Well, they wouldn't be there if there wasn't a reason, and they're called theories for a reason. And if you look at the world today, it's very fair to say it's not fact. So let's start looking at the facts. Let's start moving through that which we don't like, so we can get to the place that we do like, that we can move into the world that we want. And again, on the personal level, if something is scaring you about yourself, or there's something that you don't want to face, it's you're only doing yourself an injustice by not looking at it and learning from it, so you know what you really don't want, and it can move you to the direction of what you really do want. That's really a really important topic. So I hope that everybody will move on to something like that.